Right.
Oh my gosh.
We are here.
Okay, so welcome, I guess, to the Blur and Grain podcast, episode
Blur
2,
and Grain.
with special guest, none other than Shaider. How do I say your last name?
Divina.
Divina.
I have a Spanish last name. If you see an Asian with a Spanish last name, 9 times out of 10, they're Filipinos.
Yeah, I know. Filipinos are like. Wait, I don't know if this is insensitive to say. Here we go. 90 seconds in. 90 seconds in. I feel like Filipinos are like a mixture. They're like the Latin Asians. Because I feel like we eat the same things.
Yes.
Like plantains and rice and stuff like that. And we have similar cultures. Like Filipinos have like the debut.
Yep.
And then we have like quinceañeras.
And our words are all, there's a lot of overlap in words. Like trabajo is the same.
Oh.
Maleta is the same. There's a lot of different, like,
so you're
same
basically
words.
Hispanic.
Basically.
Is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, Shaider is, here's the part where I hype you up. He's a photographer, director, creative director, DP, editor, agency owner, production company owner,
Lord.
all in once. What doesn't he do? I don't know. But
I just get bored. Like, yeah.
I was like, Shaider is the absolute perfect guest to have on this podcast because we're talking all about creativity in general.
That's so
and
sweet.
you do all of the things, which I so admire. I was actually thinking of when we met and how we met, and I do not know how many years ago that was. Do you? I remember the first time we hung out at that Starbucks at La
Cinco.
Centera.
Yep.
And I think that was 2018 or 2019.
Something like that, yeah. We linked up because we had very similar backgrounds. Like, we were in a small church that our parents ran.
Yep.
And we're like, that in itself is you need a special type of person. It's so niche.
Yeah.
That, like,
Niche topic.
nobody else does that.
I think, did we like follow each other on Instagram?
Yes, I think we follow each other.
Because I don't
Instagram
think
first.
we had like mutual friends. I think we had mutual acquaintances maybe, but not like mutual
same
friends.
circle with a lot of. If you look at our mutuals, it's a lot of same people.
I remember you followed me, or no, I don't know who followed each other first, but the moment you followed me back or whatever, I think you were on tour with an artist, and you had recently did some sort of stop, and the artist took a photo of this artist with Drake. And I remember being like, oh my God, the guy who like shoots Drake or has shot Drake followed me back on Instagram. And I was just kind of starting in my career, and I was like, he is so cool.
But you all have to know, Sarah is one of the best
Stop.
photographers in Houston.
Stop.
Like, she was already putting out great content. I think it was just a confidence thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes we link that to like, oh, because they're working with this person, they must be great. No, but like,
that was literally me. I was like, and then I remember I talked to you about that when we met. I was like, you've shot Drake? Tell me the story. Like, I was so, I mean, at that moment in my life, I was like living in like the Katy area and just starting out. And when I started out in my career and in photography, I didn't know a lot of people that were doing the same thing, at least not local people at all. Like, I had nothing but just looking up to people that I followed from like New York or LA or whatever, but not like local people. So to me, you were the first maybe like local person connection that like I looked up to that was like doing the same stuff and that like we could talk to and like have conversations around the whole field. And ever since then, that's kind of what we've been doing. We like keep in touch. We talk about, so like filming this is so like normal because every time we hang out or see each other, these are the things we're talking about anyways. So it's like,
and it hasn't changed. Like since 2017, 2018, whatever that year was, we're still the same people.
We literally are.
We just do bigger projects.
Absolutely. And that's been like, what, 7 years?
Yeah.
7 years. You know, they say if someone's in your life for more than 7 years, they're permanent.
Oh, wow.
So we're lifers.
Stuck.
We're lifers.
And fun fact, I'm still in the same place where we met. Like I'm still
living?
in the same suburb.
he's like, I'm still in Katy.
Yeah, I'm still in Katy. Still in Katy.
Okay, so here's the thing. Lately, that was like 8 years ago, right? But lately, I feel like you've been doing a lot of like super big productions that are fun. You've been traveling a lot, doing like all sorts of different gigs with big brands. I don't know if you have like NDAs or something, but I know you did some work for Nike.
Mm-hmm.
Did some like a podcast with like Will Smith, like different kind of like big projects.
Yeah.
And so I want to talk about that because as like, I guess when you're starting out, you have like 1, 2, 3 to 4 years of experience. Those big productions feel like so out of reach.
Right.
And it's like, how do I even get there?
Right.
How do I even make those connections? How do I even, like, what do I even do on this set? Or like how, one of the things that I've always thought about when it comes to like big productions, I'm always like, especially when it comes to more mainstream productions, I guess, so to speak, I'm
Like
always
commercial.
like, yes, I'm like, how does the set look like? Or like, how are people like talking? How is it? And every single time that I've been, I guess, a part of like a bigger production, I get there and I'm like, wait, this is way more chill than I thought. Like in my head, I had thought that it was like super serious, that like, and I guess some are, like, I'm not discrediting that. I personally haven't been a part of like too many, but I want to hear your take on that. Like first, I want to hear like kind of how did you get to the point where you kind of have such like larger clients, and then also share a little bit behind the scenes of like the set days and what those look like, and like, and how kind of like the vibes are working in like such large productions.
Cool. Yeah. I'll talk about the how do you get to the bigger stuff. The fastest way is creating the work that you want to make.
Yeah.
That's always like been the common theme. No one's gonna hand you like the jobs that you want to shoot unless, you know, like if Nike wants to do a campaign, they need to have seen that Shaider has done 3 of those
already
in that same vein, in that brand that they've shot stuff with. They're not gonna bend over backwards unless like you're super special, like this guy named Gabriel Moses, like great creative, but then, you know, there's not a lot of people, like not a lot of brands would bend over backwards for like a creative. You need to be able to serve the brand. So the brand has to look at your stuff and they can say, they can execute our vision. So, and one of the things I discovered also is that like, I've always been the recap guy, like event coverage. No one will go to like, hey, we have this campaign. Can this recap guy execute this vision? No, like no one will put 2 and 2 together. So what I've done, actually just probably like a year and a half, 2 years ago, I found people that doesn't want to do the same things as me in the production. So I found this guy named Matt Dean, and all he wants to do is lights and grip. And I found Gio. All he wants to do is Steadicam. And it's all about that. You're building to the next level with people who don't do the same things as you. If everybody wants to be a director, you're not going to get anywhere.
You're going to be clashing too.
When you look at Instagram posts that has like is built with big productions, you see thousands of names there. You know, but everyone has a different role. Everyone has a different like thing they specialize in. So in order to get to the next level, you have to find people around you that like want to get to the same goal. Because everybody's supporting this one vision. But they all do different things. So
basically like building a team to kind of grow with you. In a way.
And also one of the things to get to the next level is, I've always thought about this, like volunteering at the church. The church like has so many opportunities for you to operate at a high level and learn the lingos, learn the equipment, and there is like a safety net. If you mess up, someone's gonna catch you. You're not gonna get yelled at like a regular commercial
or fired
set.
Or like
exactly,
not paid or whatever.
So you can make all the mistakes and learn all the things that you need to learn. Because when I
ask questions and like be curious. And
mentorship is huge. If you want to get somewhere really quickly. Even today, I have a mentor. So
this is your sign to go volunteer at your local church.
And also shoot weddings.
Oh my God.
Like the pressure cooker. Well, you'll learn so much.
The way that weddings isn't even in any of my bullet points today, but we could literally just talk for 30 minutes about weddings and all of that. But that is so true. Everybody always asks me all the time, whether it's like in person or DMs, I get asked, how do you become better and how are you taking photos like this now? I feel like my photos aren't clicking or like whatever, they're not resonating with me or whatever. I'm like, just keep shooting. Like, I think there was a year where I did maybe 40 weddings. Wow. And I was like, you just got to keep shooting and like trying different things and doing all sorts of like different things and making mistakes and getting in Lightroom and figuring out, like, the thing with weddings is that you are shooting in like a million different lighting conditions in one singular day, and you change from one lighting condition to another one in a matter of like 30 seconds. There's lots of movement. People are like coming at, I mean, it's, weddings literally will teach you for sure almost everything you have to know.
Like, you have about to be very reactionary. Like, it just, you're flexing a muscle that, like, oh, literally, wow, I need to know how to remedy and change settings really quickly and on the fly. So I guess reps and pressure are the things that will build you up to a higher level. And once I got to those big sets, I'm like, oh, wow, this, I've already been stretched so much by church and like weddings. Yeah. This is nothing.
Yeah. It didn't feel like crazy or intimidating or anything. It feels familiar. Like that. It feels normal. Yeah. And has there ever been like a set experience where you have arrived at like a big production or something and you're like super nervous or something, and then you get there and like realize like, oh, it's actually not that? Or how does it usually feel for you?
It's funny because it's the reverse now. When I shoot like families, when I do family portrait shoots, and that makes me nervous. Then because these people aren't really on the screen on a regular. Yeah. Then the people
for like, the big productions and stuff, they're like pros. They're doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, but for people that's like fresh on the camera, that's the thing that makes me nervous. Yeah. I'm like, okay, how do I direct this? How do I? Yes. But
that's crazy. Going back to the roots, you know. Yeah, that's actually crazy to think about, because all sorts of like creatives, photographers, filmmakers kind of have different things that they specialize in, and for me, like I do a lot of like lifestyle shoots, photo shoots with like influencers or families or maternity or weddings and couples, and I'm not so much doing a lot of commercial work. But for people that are doing a lot of commercial work, literally what you just said, when they do smaller shoots or like these like more day-to-day gigs or sorts, they're like, how do you do that? I cannot get like the clients to pose that way or to do that way. But then I admire, so it's just kind of like so interesting to kind of like see the balance, because I think everybody thinks that I remember talking to other creatives, they always say like, oh, well, I started off in weddings, or I started off doing family portraits, or I started off doing lifestyle, and then I like moved up to commercial. But there's lots of different people that like they don't consider that like moving up. Yeah. They're just like, no, I love this, and this is like kind of like my niche and what I want to like specialize in, and like I'm gonna stick. Or there's other people that are like, no, like I've always wanted to go into like music videos or kind of like bigger stuff, but it's kind of like every different specialization. I hope I'm saying that word right.
It's a different grass,
and it's all valuable. It's not that like you're better because you're doing commercial work. There's like, I mean, when you think about it, even like the biggest people out there have wedding photographers. Like, you know, like everyone's doing like shooting weddings or getting family photos taken like every single year. So, shout out to family photographers. Yep.
And brand positioning and all that jazz and
all bunch of things. Okay, so now you're doing a little bit of everything, I would say. But how about, what if you were like starting from scratch today? Also, how long have you been like shooting in general?
Since I would say, I was looking through my archives, I've been sending you like old videos of me, my first day at Lakewood. Like I'm like wide-eyed.
What year was that?
2012 was when I had that little compact camera.
Literally 13 years ago.
But I will say 2011 was my first time like shooting.
Yeah, so 14.
With my brother's DSLR. Yeah. And then it didn't really take off until like 2015. Yeah. I got featured by Instagram, and then that got me like my first like
influx of followers.
Yeah, influx of followers, and also a legit gig with Chipotle. Oh. And then after that, Pepsi. And then it just like snowballed into like, oh, commercial gigs.
Yeah.
Before like that, straight I wasn't really. The bat. Yeah. So. And it was also the time where like lifestyle photos were a new thing to social. So I kind of caught a wave in a way. Yeah. So I think that's sometimes what you have to think about too. Like, you have to trend forecast.
Yeah.
You have to
the whole spiel. So when you first were starting out 14 years ago, were you trying to be like a photographer, director, all of those
Not
things?
at all. Like, I was just hanging out with a bunch of like kids who were in art school, and I would just I can't draw, so I'm like, oh, I guess I'll take photos. So
you're like, I'll do the BTS.
Yeah, and my parents would never pay for me to go to this art school.
Yeah, absolutely not.
So my closest thing was like asking people after the classes, like, hey, what'd you learn today? Can you teach me how to
different things?
Yeah, I don't even know what software I used to like edit like photos back in the day.
So you weren't trying to build like a creative career, so to say?
No, not at all. I was like on track to be. At first, I was supposed to be a nurse.
Whoa, nurse Shaider.
Yeah, no, but then I'm like, I can't do this, and then I switched to computer information systems, but I actually went into the wrong program. I actually wanted to be a computer engineer, and then the whole Instagram thing came, and I'm like, okay, let me move to something that's a little closer to what this newfound
passion
skill. Yeah, like, so I eventually finished in advertising and minored in graphic design.
Oh, yeah. So when you got featured on Instagram, was that a turning point for you career-wise?
Yeah.
Ish, and you were like, maybe I can do that?
Because that made me switch to a different, because I wanted to merge creativity and, like all this technical stuff with engineering. I signed up to intern at Visco. Because that was like
oh my gosh,
that was like the
Visco days.
Yeah, so that was like I think
there's people still using it to this day, but I remember that was like
they were doing the best film emulations. They were doing the best colors.
So that's kind of how you got started. You weren't technically pursuing like a creative career, but it kind of like came to you in a way, and then it kind of kicked off. It's always like when you're doing the right thing, the doors just kind of like open seamlessly in a way. But what about if you were starting from scratch today and you wanted to pursue a creative career? What would you do?
YouTube, everything.
YouTube University.
YouTube. I would find a mentor that's already doing what I want to do.
Okay, that's like number one. First
it will
step.
Sift through a lot of this, because YouTube can be overwhelming. Like,
yeah. 100%.
Either you pay for a course or you pay for,
like sifting through videos on YouTube and trying to figure out
I want to know
works.
what I just need to know in order to get by, and then, I'll find out the things I need to know later.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
But I wish I had a mentor, because like I said, I was looking through all my archives yesterday, and I'm like, dang, these are like so bad. Like, exposure was off.
And nobody to tell
me, So
yeah, that's actually so true. Like, I think about that all the time, and I'm like, I did not have anybody to even ask questions when I was starting. Like, I wish there was just nobody in my life that knew in that season of my life that was doing photography, video posting on Instagram, social, like nothing. Nobody even knew about it. I had nobody to ask. And, back then I wasn't like trying to like DM people on Instagram, either like, hey, can you help me? Or like, and I remember it was the first time that I did a wedding with Joseph West. This is very niche. If you know, you know. And shout out Joseph.
Yeah, he's the best.
Shout out Joseph, best photographer in Houston.
Tomorrow. Today's Friday.
Really? On Saturday? The wedding? Oh my gosh, he asked me to third shoot. And I can't. So you were gonna shoot?
So I'm the backup to a backup.
Are you second or third?
I'm third.
Oh, okay. So, oh my gosh. Joseph, we caught you. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Anyway, shout out Joseph West. I started second shooting with him. What year was this? Maybe 2020 or 2021. And he was the first person in my life that had been doing this for so long that I could like ask questions. And I remember maybe the first or second wedding that we shot together, he was so incredibly kind and sweet. And he was like, hey, if you have questions, like he basically was like, I could be like a mentor figure or without making it like I'm your mentor type of, but he was like, and I remember one time we grabbed coffee and I was explaining all the dilemma that I had within that point in my business and how I wanted to pivot. And I realized like that is so valuable. And I had never had that because I had never known anybody that was doing what I wanted to do had so many years in it, like similar to what you just said. And I definitely do think that that is valuable when you're starting out, especially now that there are more people doing creative things, like more people doing content, video design, all of those things. Because I feel like 14 years ago for you, and then like 9-10 years ago for me, it was kind of like not as popular. Like being a content creator wasn't even really a term yet, and like social media manager wasn't even a term. Some of these like digital marketing careers weren't like really out there, so it was kind of harder. But shout out to YouTube, and shout out to like different friendships and connections along the way, where you can at least relate and be like, okay, like I'm definitely not by myself. But yeah, that's actually really good. Finding a mentor. What was the other thing that you said?
Sorry for sketch. Find a mentor. That's all. That's the only thing I've said.
Oh my gosh, I thought you said
and
two
then
things.
I would learn lighting at a very early
oh my gosh,
part of my career.
Lighting.
Yeah, lighting is like, to me, the cornerstone for a lot of things. Because if you understand lighting for video, photo, like it can separate you from a lot of different people.
Yep.
Because I used to just be a natural light photographer.
Yeah.
And I just because I
remember
know
when that
how
was
to.
more of a thing, like Instagram bio, like natural light photographer. I feel like I see it way less now because I see more people.
Yeah.
The trend with like flash kind of started coming around, and I think more people started experimenting with that, and so everybody.
And equipment's getting cheaper and cheaper. It used to just be like,
but I remember
oh my gosh,
like natural light photographers was like the website title of certain photographers and like the Instagram bio of others. But that's actually really good about light. And that actually segues into the next question so perfectly. I was going to explain a little bit how like I'm kind of like a spontaneous type of person. Like I feel like every time that I plan for a shoot or for something like so much, it just so happens that I have these like high expectations of how the shoot's going to go, and that it just does not go that way at all, and I end up disappointed. And then the shoot days where I'm just like way more chill, I'm more like I know what I want to grab, and I know that I have the equipment for it and the team for it. We're just gonna go in there and figure it out. I feel like those go so much better for me personally. But what is your style? Like, have you ever shown up to a shoot like totally unprepared, maybe intentionally, and it went so great? Or do you like to like have some sort of checklist and like printed document and shot lists and all of this before your shoots? Like, how do you usually navigate that?
I used to always just like, I'm showing up with the vibes. What? That's all I'm doing. Whatever happens. No,
that's
very
literally me.
And
She said artiste. No, that's literally me. I'm like, I'm just grabbing vibes. Like, get with the program.
What I needed to do was, to get to the next level is the planning. There's just no way around it.
Had to lock it.
Pre-production is probably the most important part.
Yeah.
And I need a backup of a backup of a backup. Yep. Like, in order for me to get to the next level, I've tried. Trust me, I've tried to just wing it all the time. But subconsciously, you're also still preparing for it. Because you're like saving stuff on your Instagram. That's almost like pre-production.
Yeah.
You just
have to put it somewhere.
Yeah, you just have to put it somewhere. So I'm like, next time I'm going to do this. That is pre-production.
Yeah, totally.
So in order for me to right now, I want to take my DP career to the next level.
Yeah.
I have to plan shots and have to plan lighting down to the T. And especially because I'm not just the one that's in the team. I have a lighting guy, I have a grip guy, and then I have whoever.
They have to know the plan.
They have to know.
They have to follow your lead.
So I have to, people will hate you if you don't have a plan. Especially if they're carrying heavy stuff.
Yeah. They're like, so where do you want this?
Yeah.
And you're just like, give me a sec. Like, let me figure it out. Yeah.
So
I've seen that happen too.
And then communication. That's like the thing that I'm like working on.
Yeah.
Communicating with teams.
Like pre?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I need
setting them up, knowing like setting expectations prior to.
Communicating the vision, have a baseline, and then if anything happens during the shoot, leave room for that too.
Yeah.
So
how does that look like the booking process with like big or bigger commercial clients? Like, does it start with them asking you for something like a portfolio?
Yeah.
Do you do they tell you the concept? Do they ask you to come up with the concept? Kind of what does that look like?
So the traditional way is, I think the landscape's kind of changing now. It's client to a creative agency to a production house.
Okay.
So I think for church creatives, we tend to live in between both. We come up with the ideas.
Yeah.
And we're also executing the ideas.
Yeah. So we're
we're
agency
both.
and production house.
Yeah, and I think there's a new evolution of like creative studios that are popping up because they need to, clients are expecting to be able to do both.
Yeah.
So the traditional track is client, creative agency, and production house. Nice. So I love the production house, that traditional route, because one, I don't have to deal with the client. I just have to deal with the executive producer. Yeah. But there are still some, in order to stay afloat. Yeah. You're gonna take on like smaller boutique businesses that you create the ideas and you execute the project. So sometimes I play both because I know you said a lot of titles, and I love, but in this season,
and I missed some. There's more.
It's just so fun for me, like like the whole track of people saying like you have to niche down, but I'm like
I can't.
I just genuinely love all of it, like, same. And I want to do all of it at a high level. I can't find
a niche to save my life. I haven't been able to.
I want to shoot a wedding, and I want to shoot with Nike in the same week, and I want to shoot a maternity. Yeah.
And you'll go like gaff something.
Yeah, and I think that has helped me not burn out. Is because I'm always problem solving different things. Yeah. That is, kind of like a microwave. Yeah. Like if the platter in the microwave doesn't turn or spin. Yeah. The food will burn up so much quicker. Yeah. But if it's constantly rotating, it's gonna evenly cook. Yeah. So totally. That's just
So does it usually, let's say an agency is reaching out to you, like the executive producer of an agency or something, what does that usually look like? What are they asking you for right off the bat?
So usually if I'm that would mean two things. I'm already getting hired as a photographer or a DP. Okay. And they want someone that can execute exactly the vision the creative agency has come up with.
So the creative agency has created the concept, and they're just looking for someone
that can execute that vision.
And they usually choose that based on style, right? Exactly. Like they're like, oh, I know that Shaider has this style, and this is the style that resonates with the concept that we pitched to the client.
Yep. Okay. So one of the things that it's a airline rebrand that we were doing. And this director recommended me because he's seen stuff on my Instagram that looks very similar to the mood board. Yeah. So what I did in order to win the job, to get awarded the job, is I took their mood board and I painstakingly picked out one photo and matched it with the things I've already shot in that realm.
Yeah, that's good.
So that helped the client, oh, this guy can do it. Yeah. Every single photo he's shot before. Yeah. So that's what I meant by like clients is not going to give the campaign to a recap, a guy who specializes in recap. Yeah. And not to throw shade to a recap. I do recaps too, and there's some amazing.
Yes, we're still on the recap grind to this day.
And people have taken it to like planes that I have. It's so insane.
What about okay, so that's creative agency when they already have a concept. What about if it's a client working directly with you and wanting you to like come up with the concept? What does that look like? Do they reach out, tell you a little bit of what they want? What do you send back? Like a mood board?
So I would usually send a deck. A deck usually has. I try to pull as much as I can from the client. Yeah. And I usually record the calls. So
okay, so you get on a call.
You get on a discovery call. Okay. You find out their budget, how much they can spend, and they'll determine how much work you can put in, and
how big of a production it'll be. Yeah.
Yeah, because you got to pay these people.
For sure. It's not just you showing up.
Yeah, and I don't want to work alone anymore. I recently did a shoot, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this took me 9 hours when it could have taken me 3 hours if I had pulled in 2 people. And I wouldn't be as tired and wouldn't be as frustrated.
100%.
So I would get the budget, get the vision, and then also the timeline. Okay. Because if I can't deliver it within 2 weeks,
and you have to know up front.
Those are the 3 things that I always ask for. And then because the budget will determine if I bring in a team or not, the deliverables, if I can execute it or not. If it's out of my skill set, I can't help you. And then timeline, if I can't deliver it to you, there's no point in hiring me. So.
And after all those things wrap in the discovery call, then you send them you said you were sending them a deck. What does that usually include?
Basically what they want, what they need, like
just broken down.
Yes, and also because when people say luxury, my luxury is different from your luxury.
Yep.
So I need them to explain what that means. So the deck basically aligns both of us to make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah.
I'm a very visual guy.
Yeah.
So if the client says something, this is what it means to me. If it doesn't resonate with them or it's not the same page, we're gonna go back to the drawing board. I'm gonna send more decks.
And this is a good moment to do that.
Yes, pre-production before you
shoot. Good moment
to
do that. That's actually a really good nugget there that it took me a lot of years and kind of disappointments to learn, which is like, and this is something that has been instilled in me also by my current boss at my full-time job. His name is Joe. He's always like, make sure there's like a brief and the like stakeholder signs off before you start, because one of the things that happens when you're kind of like in the starting out phase and you don't really know what these phases look like in like the booking process or working with clients is that, you know, you have an idea, you maybe, if you're emailing or texting, you know, because gigs when you're starting out start very casual. It's always like texts or DMs on Instagram, and they're sending you either a Pinterest board or screenshots and you're sending back, and then it's very casual and laid back, and then you get there and then you do the shoot or something, and then maybe they're unhappy with the final, you know?
Yeah.
And I've learned from that type of stuff. I'm like, oh, before I should have like presented something more formal that they could like sign off on.
Yep.
That's
why I record calls. Hey, here's the soundbite of you saying yes, you agree to this.
He's like your corporate email back, like, like you said in our discovery call in minute 30, whatever, this is what you wanted. But that's actually really good to protect yourself and protect your team. Yeah. So you don't do double work, so that you don't have a bad experience with a client. And that's something that I've learned through the years. Depending, you know, I try to implement that as much as I can right now in my full-time job when I'm working. Depending on what it is, I can't always, because I do work in a church. It's fast-paced. Sometimes we're getting information and the deadline is like way too close. There's like no time to put something cohesive together. But as much as I can, I try to do that. So I feel like that's a really good piece of advice to like anyone.
Checkpoints.
Yep. Like make sure they sign off on the brief, know exactly what's in your brain, and that way everyone's on the same page when it comes to like shooting and executing.
Yeah, I mean, even during production days, what I've noticed is that DPs and directors, they always and producers, they make sure client is happy before they move on.
That's
like,
good.
And there's witnesses everywhere. Like, we're good to move? Everybody signs off?
Is there usually like a representative of the client in the shoots?
Yeah, usually, yeah. And most of the time, it's not just one person. It's like
a team,
3 or 4 people.
Just to like.
Yep, and they all have chairs next to like a monitor, and everybody's watching it, and they're like giving notes and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, that's good though.
Yeah, because it's a lot of money. Like time is money, and if you give the client a product they don't like and it's not going to serve them, you have to redo the shoot, which means more money.
Yeah,
then
you don't want
likely
that.
Won't be hired again.
I am such a fan of like, tell me what you're not liking. And just tell me straight up. Like, because that's going to help. Like, don't beat around the bush. Don't try to, like, be afraid to hurt my feelings. Just be like, I'm not liking it. Yeah. I don't like that color, or I don't like that photo. I don't like that effect. And that's, like, so I love that, you know, even hearing that, you know, there's representatives of, like, the main client going, kind of vibe checking, giving live notes. I feel like that helps move the whole production forward and like helps the whole team, and it helps also you ultimately deliver something that like everybody is happy with. That's why I'm like, just be straight up.
Yep.
I'm like,
communicate.
After this many years, I'm like, I'm not really upset or like offended or anything.
You can't
just be like, I don't like it. I'll be like, oh my gosh, fine. Like I like it, but it's okay. We can tweak, because this isn't necessarily about me. Like, you have to sign off on it, you know, like at the end of the day.
Exactly. Whoever's paying you is the one that is a stakeholder.
100%.
And I think what I've learned also is, don't attach yourself to the work that you do.
Oh my gosh, preach.
Yeah.
This is a topic right there. We're going to clip this.
Yeah. Feelings. You're there to serve.
Yeah.
I think people also forget, like, this is a service industry. Like,
100%.
It's a customer base.
Yep.
You're here to serve. Like, ego. I mean, there are a lot of people that have ego, but like, if you want to get booked all the time, provide the best customer service. And that's
100%.
been like the most common thread why I've been able to stay booked for a while is and there's no slow season between me and my friends, like, because we provide good customer service.
Yeah.
And we're there to serve you. We're not here to serve our ego.
Yeah.
We'll insert like little things in there to help elevate, to scratch our creative itch, but like most of the time, we're there for you, the customer. 100%. If they don't like it, we will change it.
100%.
We will go beyond, above, and whatever under.
Yes. And something that I always tell people, because I do manage a creative team right now, and sometimes it is hard when the things that they make maybe don't get approved, you know, and like it doesn't pass like the stakeholder review, or it doesn't pass the producer review, or it doesn't pass like, and or there's lots of revisions. I know that sometimes that can be like discouraging, and like you know, as I talk to other people in the same field, I hear a bunch of different stories where like you came up with an idea that you thought was great, and then you were like kind of like emotionally attached to, but it's not the idea that ended up working out and whatever. And like that's such a constant thing that you have to wrestle with in this field. And I feel like through the years it gets easier, and through the years you kind of become stronger, and you kind of build like thicker skin around that. But I always encourage everyone to like find a way to emotionally detach from your ideas, and also find your own creative outlets where you can do whatever you want with no revisions and with no nothing. And that kind of feels like I do that all the time, and that fills my cup, so that when I have an idea that doesn't pass the vibe check, you know, in my full-time job or something, I'm not like brokenhearted about it. I'm like, that's fine, maybe I can implement that on something that I want to do just for myself, and that way like my cup is getting like full or filled, I guess, creatively, and I'm not solely depending on like my job or clients or anything to kind of fill me up. You know, I'm kind of like taking that responsibility upon myself to like, I'm going to be intentional with doing the things that I want to do and the ideas that I have, but I'm also going to bring my best work, you know, to my job and to the people that I work with. But I'm going to have that healthy tension and that healthy boundary, and not let it become like all consuming, because it's kind of very easy to kind of go down the like, you know, the emotional route and like, wait, really?
I used to get so pissed. I'm like, all y'all suck. All y'all don't know what y'all talking about. But at the end of the day, you're there to serve. I think that's the humility of it all. It's like you're there for like to serve their vision, the creative agency. Yeah. I'm not there to like tell the director, hey, you should do this. There's a time and place for that. Do it on your own shoot. Yeah. You know?
No, totally. Okay, well, I want to shift gears almost very dramatically here to talk about photo and editing.
Cool.
We've had so many conversations about editing styles, and like I remember when we first met, you were shooting film. I think you were shooting film before it got super duper duper trendy, like,
and expensive.
Years, like I think it was years before it became, you know, what it is. I think it's kind of stabilized now again, but there was like a 2-year period where it was just like film kind of like really took
everything
off. Yeah, literally. And you were shooting, you showed up to Starbucks with a film camera.
Hey, look at this.
It was like a point and shoot. You had two. You had a huge
one. Oh my
one.
gosh, I'm so
You
extra.
had a huge one, and then you had like a super tiny
like
point and shoot, and you took a photo of me. Yeah, I remember that. And you were shooting film like way before it was like, I guess, like a super mega trend of sorts, so to speak. And I know we've always talked about like just the tones that are achieved with film, and just how hard it is with certain digital cameras to try to get, you know, the tones that you're wanting and all of that. And, you know, you have been shooting for so many years. So one of the questions that I hear a lot is like, or that I get asked a lot, is about how do I achieve my edits, and how did I find my tones and all of that. And I feel like it's very unique for everybody depending on their style. But I am wondering specifically to you, like, how did you find like your editing style, you know, in like photography, and like how has that evolved, and at what point in your career were you finally able to be like, okay, these are the tones that like speak to me? Yeah. And how did you even realize that?
Yeah. When I was working at a church before, and I was teaching the photo team, I think Sean, who's my best friend, like I was teaching him, hey, you should, this is how I edit. I feel like he was so underwhelmed, because I would apply my preset and then just move the exposure and contrast slider. Yeah. And I'm like, that's it. That's all I do. Like, so
he wanted to get this big spiel
I'm like,
of
bro,
like,
I don't take it to Photoshop. I don't know. It's, to me, it's like, I think just my editing process starts with the actual shooting it as best as you can on the spot. I'm more of that.
exposing it correctly, all those things.
And yeah, because once you have those, it's easier to manipulate the image to however you like. And just because I've shot with film so much, I know how it reacts, and I know how, because JPEGs and RAWs react so differently.
Yep.
So yeah, basically, I am still trying to emulate film today. Yeah. But
those are the tones
specifically
that speak
Portrait.
the most.
I love Portrait for life. But yeah, I mean, that's always what I'm trying to emulate. Even in motion, even in video, I love film. Like
Portrait 400.
Yeah, but then sometimes there's just no way around it but to shoot film.
Yeah, you're like, I have to. There's no other way. It's a journey to find your editing style and the tones and the colors that resonate with you. But like we literally said at the very beginning of the episode, it's just shooting and
just gotta shoot,
figuring it out, and then you'll get there. There's somewhere in the middle where you feel so discouraged and you're like, my photos are never going to look good. Like my tones are always going to be crappy. And especially when you look at what everybody else is putting out, but once you get past that and you really hone in on like what speaks to you, not trying to do anything trendy, not trying, once you get past that, I feel like for me, that's when I finally was like, okay, this is what I like. And I just had to get past all of that. But film and film tones are just beautiful and lovely, and they make you feel something that like
the texture of it is I will say obsessed. Like I said earlier, in having a mentor definitely helped, or else I would have spent way too much money. I would have gone into debt trying to get to where I am. But Nicole Lewis, shout out to Nicole, she's helped me. She actually went to photography school in San Francisco.
She knows the real.
She knows. So I learned, and I was volunteering at church. And when she was teaching me.
So you know what I mean? Volunteering at church.
We were shooting film in church. Yeah. So we were getting reps
before it was cool.
And I had a mentor. So that fast tracked me into like, okay, that is the secret sauce.
Secret sauce unveiled. Mentor and getting your reps in. That is pressure. The fast track and pressure.
Pressure.
Fast track to growth and all of those things. Okay. Now we're going to go into the fun part of every episode, which is my beautiful and fun segment called Tea Time. I should make a song about it. I should do that, and maybe I will in future seasons
like to come. Like a whole jingle?
Yeah. I feel like I love Jimmy Fallon. And you know how they have different segments? And I'm like, I need to like put some vibes to like my different segments.
We'll clip this and then
this
2 years from now, it's like a whole like late show.
Yes,
vibes.
This is so anticlimactic because it's just me saying tea time. But in the future, it should have some music or something.
And we'll have a waiter
serving tea. Wait, that's a great idea. Okay, so tea time. Okay, so cool. I'm going to ask you some questions to try to get you to spill some tea, Tell the people what they want. Everyone enjoys some tea, some behind the scenes, like what people would normally not post or like you normally would not be public about, But I do have some questions and I am wondering some things. Yeah. So I'm going to get started. I have a couple. We may not get through all of them. But here's what the people want to know. And by people, me. What is the most, or how much is the most you've gotten paid in a gig?
Oh, Lord.
Drum roll. Drum roll, please.
I think $16K, something like that.
What was this?
It was...
without spilling
it was
what you can't spill.
It's commercial gig. Commercials pay the most.
Commercials the way.
The boring ones, especially.
Imagine someone paying $16K for a family shoot.
Yearbook. Yeah.
Yeah. Commercial.
Yeah.
Were you doing photo?
I was doing photo.
Photography.
And why I got a lot of money, relatively, I know other people that like have made more money than that in one shoot. But
for sure.
it's the licensing. that's where the money's at for a photo.
There's so much about that like we can't even unveil.
Yeah,
but it's
insane.
A lot.
So like really, I would have gotten paid like $5 just for the day.
Then they license.
But then they
images.
license it and they refresh it without me doing the work. So it's
beautiful.
Like you just see a check.
How many hours were you in this shoot?
Was it even 8 hours a day? That was like 2 days.
A full day.
It was like,
it was a full. Okay.
Yeah.
Full commercial vibe,
mm-hmm.
like multiple day type of thing.
Yeah. But yeah, they kept licensing stuff. So.
To this day, or just for a couple years?
So
right after?
They always renew every year. So hopefully they renew again, which means I don't have to do work, but they just want to keep using the images.
I love that.
So they could either do a full buyout, which is even more. But then
when they buy the full copyright.
Yeah.
To the catalog of your images.
Yeah, because
or something.
Sometimes they'll use your
photos. But the
photos.
copyright price per image is high.
Yeah,
and I don't think people know that.
Because it depends on the distribution where it'll end up.
Yep,
like
where it's gonna live.
On Instagram?
Is it printed? Is it?
Will it be a billboard on a freeway that 2 million people will see every morning?
Yeah.
You know, so it just depends on how many eyeballs are on it.
Commercial, gig, licensing, deal. Love that. Okay, now what was the first gig that you ever got? How much did you charge for the first gig? Like, so that was like top.
I worked for free for a very long time, especially for church. I'm a pastor's kid, so I just shoot.
Yeah,
whatever.
That's what we do.
Yeah, that's our life. But my first one was a senior photo shoot for $30.
Wow.
And full catalog.
How many photos did you shoot?
Oh, like a ton, because I'm so scared. I'm like,
how many photos did you deliver?
I feel like I was on high speed the whole time. Like
continuous shooting.
It's basically video. But I am tempted to like go back and like re-edit them.
Oh, and
just like if you're my first wedding video, I'm like, I want to re-edit them in my style.
I know my first wedding photo. It's so bad.
Yeah.
It's so bad because I literally didn't know how to shoot at all.
Yeah.
And so why was my ISO like literally like 16,000? Because my aperture was like f9.
Yeah.
Like
but if you had a mentor,
I remember, and that's what I did not have, because literally I remember editing these photos, which I was editing on the Visco app on an iPad. By the way, my first little situation. And I was like, why are these photos so grainy? I just bought this camera and it was expensive. Like, this is not making any sense. And then I came to that realization that I had my settings all messed up because I didn't know how I was shooting. Anyway,
it's overwhelming. Settings for the my first time with a camera, I couldn't link ISO, shutter speed, and aperture together. Like, that would just never click in
your brain. Like, it's one of those things where it doesn't click until it clicks.
Yeah, it's like it's just,
and then you're just like in auto mode.
Oh yeah.
Like, but at the beginning, it does not click. Actually, I see a lot of the people that I teach photography, like at the church, like different volunteers. That's the first thing that they struggle with when it's that era when it's not clicking. And I'm like looking at the Lightroom tab where it shows you, and I'm like, why was that so low, like, or why was that so high? But then once it clicks, it's just like smooth sailing.
You just gotta shoot, and you won't find out until
you put your reps in. The way that we're like preaching here is just crazy.
We're gonna get tithes and offering after this. We'll drop a link.
$30 to $16,000.
Yeah,
we love a glow up.
Yeah.
We love the hand of the Lord in your life through the years.
Commercial.
Period. He's like, then also, get your commercial clients.
I still do free shoots. Like, if it's something that resonates with my soul and, like, I want it in my portfolio, and then, or if it's just a homie that needs help.
Literally same.
Yeah.
Literally same.
At the end of the day, I will do this for free.
Because we love it.
Yeah.
And we love the process.
Yeah.
Depends
who,
on though. I'm like, wait. Depends on who.
Exactly.
But yeah. Okay, last little tea time moment. What is the longest someone's taking to pay you?
Oh.
Pain.
I think that I still haven't cashed in on some invoices, and it's been years. And it's like, I've just like, hey, it's never going to come. It's net, you never know.
You're like.
But if it comes, it's like, oh my God, it's like finding cash in your pocket. I'm like.
I've just
let it go.
I'm dying because it's like, hey, I got taken advantage of. It's fine.
Yeah.
Well, I'm cracking up.
But now you learn.
I'm cracking up because Sean, Shaider's best friend, tells these stories in the most hilarious way.
Yeah.
Last time we like hung out, he was like, I think showing his phone of like all the follow-ups he did to a specific client. And he's like, and they still haven't paid me. And I'm like,
It's embarrassing at that point. It's like you're triple, quadruple texting, like, hey, just checking up on this, and it just never comes.
The follow-up game.
Yeah, but
I'm dead.
Honeybooks has solved that. All right.
Shout out Honeybook. If you know,
Hopefully
you know.
one day they'll sponsor.
If you know, you know about.
Yeah.
Wait.
There is a remind button on Honeybook where it's like, hey.
Yeah. Pay
time's
me.
up. Yeah.
Pay me. Yeah.
Yep.
It depends. It depends. You may be asking yourself, like, why would you ever deliver work without getting paid, potentially? But it really depends the way that the shoe is set up.
Yeah. Sometimes
right?
it's just way too down to the wire already. You just got to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotta run.
It depends.
Yeah.
We try, like, right now for the majority of my work, because I'm not doing too much commercial, maybe only like 15% of my work is commercial. It's all paid up front because it's like family, weddings, you know. But commercial work, when you start working with companies that are net 30, net 60, net 90 terms, it's different, you know, and you sign different things. And, you know, so if you were wondering how we could ever get to that place, it's because with certain commercial clients and the payment terms that they establish from the beginning that you low-key agree to, you know, it can be like that sometimes.
Yeah, and you never know sometimes.
You never know. I might have Sean on here and have him tell that story.
He would,
and I hope he's his most candid self.
Oh, yeah.
And tells it, and I have a lot to say.
It needs to be like a 2-part episode because it's
he could do one episode just about his horror stories with clients.
Honestly, it would be like it would get you the most views of just clips of him just like going off.
Period. Yeah. Sean is gonna make my podcast blow up. He really will. Yep. I need to get him in ASAP. Okay, well. Fun chatting. Fun. I want to close with a little. I mean, I feel like you've shared so many like nuggets and things and encouragements to people that are starting out or want to get to the next level, all of those things. But let's say someone's watching and they're in that space where maybe they look up to you and how far you have come, and they're curious on becoming like a creative photographer or pursuing like a career, I guess, in creative. In like I feel like we just talked about the magic formula, but weren't we talking about this earlier? I was gonna ask you, what would you encourage them with, or what would you say?
Don't do it. It's too hard.
He remembered.
It's hard, but it's also very rewarding. If you stick to it.
Don't do it for the wrong reasons, maybe?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, because sometimes people just do it to blow up and that's all that kind of stuff.
Or because it's the cool thing.
Perks of, you know.
Yeah.
The job.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I mean, if you do it for the wrong reasons, sooner or later you're going to burn out and you'll drop out.
Anyway, so.
Don't waste your time.
Yeah.
But. Yeah, you say yes in the beginning. Say yes to everything, because you never know what.
That's such good advice. Literally, write that down right now if you're taking notes.
Yeah, and ask questions. DM. I DM'd so many people, and some of them didn't get back to me.
No shame in the DM game.
Just ask questions and ask intelligent questions.
Yes.
There are stuff that you can find online. There are stuff you can't find online.
Yeah, and. Yeah. I know it feels awkward to DM people that have a larger following or whatever, but like some people will respond.
Yeah.
Some people won't, whatever. But
I respond.
Some people.
If you DM me, I'll
my
respond.
gosh, everybody DM Shaider right now. I'm kidding. But that's
my AI will respond to you.
My automatic reply will respond to you. But no, that's actually such good advice. Ask a lot of questions. What was the other thing you said? Why can't every time I like try to remember what you said, we can't remember?
Yeah, ask a lot of questions and say yes to everything.
Say yes to everything. That's what it was.
You don't know what you like until you try it.
That is so key at the beginning.
Yeah.
Take all the different gigs from the literal graduations. I mean, I was doing graduations to like quinceañeras to like photos at like a medical spa, like, and then that's how you kind of figure out what you like and what you don't like.
Mistakes.
Say yes to everything.
Once you get up to the next level, you've already done those mistakes. You won't do it again because of trauma.
Such practical advice from Shaider himself. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
It's an honor.
I am so excited for the world to see all of your knowledge and the things that are in your brain. It's funny, I couldn't pull it up right now, but I remember out of one of our million hundreds of conversations through the years, we talked about starting a podcast together.
Yeah, and you're the only one who did it.
Yeah, we talked about it, and I actually had a note on my phone that had like some ideas we had brainstormed and some episode concepts and everything, and then we kind of just let it die. I think that was maybe like 5 years ago. It was probably COVID when everyone was like, what project do I launch? And so that is why it is only right that you're my first guest.
It's an honor.
Because it was always meant to be. This chat was always meant to be. Years in the making, but we did it. So thank you for coming on. I value you so much as a friend, colleague, all of the things. You're so talented, and I know that you probably encouraged a lot of people with just like your words of wisdom. So yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I don't know how to end this quite yet because I'm not experienced. But thanks everyone for tuning in. Shout out to Shaider. Follow him on all of the platforms. You mostly Instagram, TikTok.
Just Instagram.
Do you have a TikTok?
I do, but
okay. Just follow him on Instagram. I just use it to stalk
people.
Follow Shaider on Instagram. Wow, no shame. No shame.
You gotta have a burner account, you know?
What was I saying? Okay, follow Shaider on Instagram. DM him if you have any questions. DM me if you have any questions about anything that I said. I'm going to link his little handle here, and then I'm going to put it in the description of the episode, because if you're listening audio only, you're not watching anything. So I'm like, let me remember that there's different people watching on different platforms. But yeah, follow along and stay tuned for the next episode.